Objection!
Well, she get a drink. I'll get a drink later. And the judge is missing. Where is the judge? I suppose we should reconvene the trial of Solomon Starbuck or something? I'm assuming that it's because Apollo is out. They assume that because there's no defense that we should reconvene it some other time.
Objection!
Is that what they're going to talk about? Your Honor, could you please come out from under your bench? There are no more bombs. Oh, he's scared of the bombs. Okay. There are no more bombs, I promise. Oh, yes. My apologies. I'm still a little jumpy when it comes to trials involving bombs. I mean, first the courtroom exploded. And then Mr. Tonate self-destructed. I guess that's one way of describing what happened to Tonate. Anyway, it seems that Mr. Justice was seriously wounded by Mr. Tonate's actions, so you, Mr. Wright, will be taking up the defense? Do you have an understanding of what has happened in the trial so far? Yes, Your Honor. The defense is ready. Very well. Is the prosecution also ready? I take it you'd like me to give the opening statement this time? Looks like the judge has become a pretty good mind reader. Well, he's certainly seen more than his fair share of colourful prosecutors. You could say he's something of a veteran of sorts. Right, before that starts, actually, I'm going to go get a bottle of juice, so I'll be right back. Let's see. In the previous part of this trial, we learned that the victim, Clay Terran, escaped from the launch pad carrying the defendant, Solomon Starbuck. There were explosions on the second floor of the Space Center and on the rocket itself. The two astronauts used the launch pad 1 corridor to reach the boarding lounge. And how could the victim climb down the ladder if he was carrying the defendant? That was the mystery that needed to be solved. But Mr. Justice proved that the victim was killed in the boarding lounge. Prosecutor Blackwell, were you able to discover any new facts related to this point? Upon further investigation, we discovered an oxygen tank fragment in the lounge. Surprisingly, it would appear that Justice Donner's argument was correct. So that means the testimonies of the first two people on the scene are suspect. For there were two people who claimed to be first on the scene, Candace and Cosmos. Candace is dead. And just as our team was about to cross-examine Detective Arm, the courtroom bombing incident occurred and the trial was put on hold. That accursed fellow, he killed my witness. He killed Detective Arm. He definitely put the kibosh on anyone asking about what she saw. Exactly. In other words, the question of who killed the victim in the bombing lounge, who killed the victim in the boarding lounge, has once again become the main focus of this trial. It's obvious Blackwell still thinks it was Mr. Starbuck. Fulbright said that Blackwell has a thing against the astronaut. Nevertheless, the defense argues there was a third person in the lounge, and that's who killed the victim. Ooh, that was a pretty strong objection, sir. To make such reckless claims in a courtroom takes a bold man or a stupid one. There was no third person in the boarding lounge. Or have you gone dotty already? Old man. Yo! I swear... Oh, I can't see my own profile. I swear bro's like 27. I swear they're the same age, even.
Objection!
We'll see who's the dotard after I trounce you with my years of experience, little boy. In any case, Mr. Starbuck claims he saw someone leaving the lounge. Furthermore, a Space Center employee also saw a suspicious figure at the scene. They saw a third person? No, they saw a suspicious person. I see my sister has been running her mouth. That's right, I almost forgot that Aura is his sister. No matter, she didn't see this mysterious person's face clearly. Therefore, there is no evidence to indicate that this person was not the defendant. There is also no evidence to indicate this person was the defendant. In brief, we need to determine if a third person was there or not. To this end, we should hear the testimony of one of the first people on the scene. Director Cosmos, huh? Very well, let's bring him on. Is he gonna wheel in? No, he's there. He's just right there. Okay, hey, what's up, dude? Why, I believe I've seen you in the newspapers. Of course you have. Of course you have. For I am Yuri Cosmos, director of the Cosmos Space Center, which is of course named after me, Yuri Cosmos. Don't you have anything you wish to ask me? Looks like he's all geared up to do some ragging. 7 years ago, I successfully launched the Hat 1 and... Everyone already knows how brilliant you are. Even I am trying to hold back my tears at seeing such a great man standing before me. So could you please proceed directly to your important testimony? I see this fine young lad as a proper appreciation of greatness. Then allow me to begin my epochal testimony that will be recorded in the annals of history. That speech of Blackwell's just now, it sounded more to me like he was poking fun at Cosmos. It's probably for the best that it sailed right over the director's head. Now then, the condensed version of your illustrious testimony, please. Oh, I saw at the scene. Detective Arm and I rushed together towards the boarding lounge. See, my AoE reading's so fucking weird because I read Detective Arm and I rushed and I looked down to read together. And once I realized my mistake, I was like, well, I can still save this sentence. Detective and I rushed together towards the boarding lounge. AoE reading sucks. We went via the control room and peeked in from there to see what was going on inside. We saw a figure standing in the middle of the lounge and Terran lying on the floor. I hate to say it, but I can only imagine the standing figure must have been Starbuck. I see. So in your testimony, you claim you arrived on the scene after the two had escaped from the launch pad to the lounge, and just after the victim had been killed. Oh, the horror, the humanity. But what I said is what I saw, and what I saw is what I said. Courageous action to take in the face of such terrifying explosions, wouldn't you say? To save my men, I went personally into the epicenter of danger, risking my own life for theirs. Well, what do you know? It sounds like the director really cares about his men. Yeah, although it sounds more like he was scared. He was scared and just had a peek from far away. Is the defense ready to cross-examine the witness? Sure am. Director Cosmos' testimony is pretty vague. I'm going to have to press him and draw out more information before I do anything else. So we rushed towards the lounge together, went via the control room, and peeked in from there to see what was going on inside. We saw a figure standing in the middle of the lounge and Terran lying on the floor. I hate to say it, but I can only imagine the standing figure must have been Starbuck. Mr. Starbuck isn't the killer, and if that's true, then there must be a false statement in the director's testimony. Okay, let's press the statements then.
Hold it!
Where were you coming from? The 6th floor. We were making sure any stragglers made their way to the 4th floor. It was then we heard about Starbuck and Terran and hurried to the 3rd floor lounge. Oh my. On my galactic scooter here, of course. Why do you keep calling it galactic? Does it have something to do with space? Of course, it's specifically designed to be used on galactic battleships. I see. Then I take it works in 0G2? Sadly no, with the current state of technology as it is. I'm afraid it would just float about and be galactically useless. Well, that's a galactic bummer. Okay. Via the control room.
Hold it!
Let's see, according to this diagram, you didn't have to go through the control room to get to boarding lounge 1. It looks like you could have gone there from the southern corridor as well. Yes, but in her haste, Detective Arm rushed ahead of me towards the control room. All I could do was merely follow behind her. I see. So we peeked into the boarding lounge from the control room door and we saw a figure standing in the room with Terran on the floor, so you couldn't see who that figure was or what they were doing. Sadly, the only thing I could tell was that it was a person standing motionless. The defendant, no doubt, staring aghast at his deed. What other explanation is there? I'm so close, but without evidence, I can't prove that the person is the third party. Wait, what? Huh? Yeah. I don't relish in this, and
Hold it!
I hate to say it, but it must have been Starbuck. Aura Blackwell also saw a suspicious figure in the lounge, but she gave the statement that it was too dark to see the person's face clearly. Did you see this figure's face clearly? No, not clearly. Ooh, excuse me. The lighter they were holding illuminated the area around their feet at the time, but other than that, I could see little else. That's why I could see Terran, but I couldn't see who the other person was. So for all you know, it might not have been Mr. Starbuck, isn't that correct? And in comes Blackwell? Oh no. I would like to believe that. Starbuck isn't the type of man who's capable of murder. Now comes in Blackwell. When the witness entered the boarding lounge, there was no third person there. Isn't that correct, Great Space Center Director? Yes, that's right. Only Starbuck and Terran were there by that time. After we peeked in, the lounge suddenly went dark and the figure vanished. You mean they disappeared? That's odd.
Objection!
The reason the figure appeared to vanish is because it was the defendant. When the witnesses weren't looking, he fell to the floor and feigned unconsciousness. Hold on, Director Cosmos, did you ever take your eyes off of the scene? Just for a brief instant, about as long as it takes for a shooting star to go by. If you took your eyes off the scene, then this third person could have escaped during that time. But what escape route could this person have used? The south door. The direction opposite the control room, the southern doors to the elevators. There's no security on that door, so it would have been possible to escape that way. All things are possible, right, Donor? The real question is, do you have any proof? Well, if we're just talking possibilities, we could each profess whatever we'd like. An inmate who used to be a university professor and lunar researcher used to say that there is a kingdom of little green men who live under the surface of the moon. As long as they don't punish us in the name of the said moon for what we've done to it. But I say, where's your proof that this quaint kingdom exists? He's calling your theory a work of fiction, boss. And he's right, I don't have any proof yet. Still. The southern door was a possible means of escape. I'd better make a mental note of that. Director Cosmos, may I ask you a question? Yes? Why did you look away from the boarding lounge? There's actually another tale of bravery behind the answer to that. It was when Detective Arm saw the figure and raised her gun. Being a great humanitarian and protector of mankind, I tried to stop her. What? You're saying Detective Arm raised her gun as soon as she saw the figure? As soon as she saw the figure? I imagine her instincts as a detective told her they were the killer. I don't know about that. And were you able to prevent Detective Arm from firing her gun? I'm afraid I was too late. I was unable to stop her. She identified herself clearly, and then she fired 2 warning shots at the shadowy figure. This information about Detective Arm's actions sounds critically important. Please add it to your testimony, so that I may present some evidence for it. Detective Arm fired 2 warning shots at the figure. 2. It'll be one. Blah, blah, blah. It'll be one of these two.
Objection!
Okay. Are you sure you were really paying attention to what Detective Arm was doing? Oh, damn. Ooh, he angry. You doubt my words? Words that will someday be written down in history books? Somehow, I don't think that those exact words will ever be written down in any history books. Mr. Wright, could you please explain yourself so that we can all understand? You say that Detective Arm fired 2 warning shots, and yet only 1 bullet hole was ever found at the scene. What? Only 1 bullet hole means the gun was only fired once. And yet you're saying she fired 2 shots. No editor would allow such a glaring contradiction in any history book. Unfortunately for you, the witness's words are true. We confirm that 2 shots were fired from the Detective Arm's gun. So I was looking for the piece of shrapnel we saw. I thought we put it in our evidence. I'm thinking that she must have shot one of the tanks. Yeah, the victim's tanks was ruptured with 0% left. Because I think they were purporting that, like, oh, the tank ruptured when clay was dropped on the floor, or Starbuck, whatever. But if she did in fact fire 2 shots and we've only seen 1 bullet hole, the other bullet may have hit the tank.
Objection!
But there was only 1 bullet hole at the scene. Where did the other bullet hole vanish to? Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. You should already know the answer to that already. I should? Okay, bang on. Got it. During the previous trial, a certain oxygen tank was presented as evidence. We've already discussed that it was ruptured in the lounge, have we not? Well, it appears that the thing that ruptured it was a bullet that was found near the tank, to be precise. This bullet was fired from a .38 caliber gun, the same caliber as the detective's gun. So who fired that gun? A 10 caliber gun. The rifling marks also match up. There's no question that the bullet was fired from Detective Arm's gun. So there were 2 guns involved. Rifling marks, they're like a gun's fingerprints on a bullet, correct? We went over this in the final case of the first game. Basically, rifling marks tell you which gun a bullet was fired from. One of the bullets the detective found its way into the holographic image display. The other bullet came to a stop near the victim's oxygen tank. The evidence confirms the director's statement that the detective fired 2 shots. My beautiful contradiction. Gone. Oh, gone. So that bullet hole was from a .38 caliber, huh? I better update the record. Very good. Now we know the fate of both of the shots Detective Arm fired. Mr. Wright, does that clear up all of your questions? Detective Arm fired 2 warning shots. One hit the holographic display and the other hit the oxygen tank. Does that really clear up everything about what happened at the scene? No. No, Your Honor, it doesn't. Detective Arm fired 2 warning shots from a .38 caliber gun, but that doesn't explain the existence of a certain piece of evidence found at the scene, a piece that points to the existence of a third person. Oh? Very well, but it won't do to keep us waiting, Mr. Wright. This one.
Take that!
And what is this metal pellet supposed to be? Just a little something of great importance we found at the crime scene, Your Honor. You found it where? In a floor gutter at the crime scene. It looks like the police and prosecution both missed it. Furthermore, this is a .10 caliber bullet, making it much smaller than one of Detective Arm's .38 calibers. Then that means... Exactly. One more person must have been there in the lounge, and a third person who had a gun that could fire .10 caliber bullets. Oop. And if that's true, it explains why Detective Arm fired warning shots. This third person fired at Detective Arm and Director Cosmos with their gun, and in return, the detective fired her warning shots. Isn't that how it really went down? Director Cosmos. Wait. You're saying the third person fired at the detective with their gun, and in return, the detective fired warning shots? In that order? Warning shots. You saw this person fire at you, and then at that point it would be like, okay, shoot to subdue. Not to kill, but to subdue. But warning shots, I don't know. Isn't that how it really went down? It looks like you deduced my miraculous tale of survival. Yes, you're absolutely correct. The mystery person fired upon us. What's this now? Oh dear. 1 second. That's me. Alright. What? You never breathed a word of this to me before. Well, all great men have a secret or two, don't you know? Foolish old geezer. So Director Cosmos really has been hiding the presence of a third person all along. Director Cosmos, I want you to testify to the court about what you really saw. You may be a very great man, but in my courtroom, you are just another witness. You won't receive special treatment here. Now please give accurate testimony. Detective Arm and I rushed to the control room together. In the lounge, we saw a figure standing in the middle of the room and Terran on the floor. We were still in the control room to the east when the figure fired at us. So I'm here because I'm trying to remember the layout of the room. That makes no sense. If I can bring up my little on-screen marker. Where are you? There we go, this little red thing here. So you're saying that 10 caliber bullet was fired that way? Crazy, because we found the bullet here. I was trying to remember the layout of the room. We found the bullet around here. So, like, yeah, around here. So I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that. Given that there was no third person in the lounge when the witness entered it, does this mean the person who fired the gun had to have been the defendant? Not necessarily. It's still possible that it was someone else. Most likely, as soon as Detective Arm and Detective Cosmos discovered this person, they escaped through the southern door, the one that didn't have a security lock.
Objection!
Double-edged swords are a tricky lot. Mishandle one, and it is you who is cut down. Huh? Your reasoning could apply if Spaceboy were the killer as well. Think about it. After being discovered, he could have fired the 10 caliber gun. Detective Arm would have responded by firing 2 warning shots. All he had to do was feign unconsciousness to invent the possibility of a third person. But Mr. Starbuck didn't have a gun in his possession when he was found by the police, nor has a gun been found at the crime scene. Its absence can only be explained if there was a third party who took it with them. Recall the existence of a trash chute in the boarding lounge. The defendant could have simply thrown the gun down the chute. But you can't deny the possibility of a third person leaving with a weapon. It's up to you to prove that possibility, and I trust you haven't forgotten my little piece of decisive evidence. What evidence? Why, the detonator switch that was found in Mr. Starbuck's pocket, naturally. The most compelling evidence of all that tells us he is the culprit. Yeah, I forgot about that too, to be fair. Look, your boldness, how deliciously obvious it is that they lack the evidence to rival mine. Wow, he sliced our third-person theory to ribbons and served it to us, just like that. Yes, well, I have a question of my own, actually. That bullet that the mysterious figure shot, what did it hit exactly? It hit me. So does that mean you're a ghost? I was wondering when you would realize it, your boldness. Director Cosmos is an authentic, bona fide ghost. He can even pass through walls. For fuck's sake, Blackwell. Blackwell, shame on you for teasing the nice old gentleman. Your boldness, it was all in jest. Please show yourself again. Are you sure? In that case, how did you manage to survive being shot, Director Cosmos? I'm glad you asked. It was a miracle befitting a great history-making figure such as myself. The bullet hit my glorious Medal of Honor, whereby it ricocheted. Ooh. Thus saving my life. What? That's unbelievable. I have to check this out. Oh wow, look at that. There's one extra Gyaxa star. Yo, the odds are literally astronomical. I guess. Oh wait, the odds are literally astronomical. I guess it really was a miracle. It's beginning to really feel like the cosmos is rushing out for Director Cosmos. But why did you conceal this information, Director Cosmos? Is he doing the fucking Shinji's dad from Evangelion pose? He's literally fucking. A great man such as myself has to hide things on occasion, no matter how much it hurts. It is the plight of the truly great. It may be hard for this generation to understand. I don't know, but it sounds fishy to me. What else is he hiding? Let's just cross-examine him and see what we can find out. Now then, Mr. Wright. Cross-examination time. Alright, so I'm gonna call him out on the thing I already called him out on. I called him out on the, well, where we found the bullet that runs along the south wall of the boarding lounge.
Objection!
Director Cosmos, I believe you're telling this court a glorious lie. A great man like me tell a lie? Have you ever heard of such a thing in all of history? My accusation is based on the positions of the people who are in the lounge. According to your testimony, you were near the control room door, and the mystery figure was standing in the middle of the boarding lounge. If, as you say, the figure fired a gun at you from this position, then the bullet would have traveled in this direction. However, we found the bullet here. Literally. This trajectory and when the bullet was actually found contradict each other. Director Cosmos, where were you really when you were being shot at? Oh shit. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the human merry-go-round. Don't tell me you've forgotten already. Didn't the witness himself just tell you? bullet hit his medal. Sorry. Of this, there is no mistake.
Objection!
But in that case, the bullet should have been found near the east side of the room. Are you trying to say that you can explain this inconsistency? Of course. I didn't think so. What? Oh, great Director Cosmos. Yes? Is there something you'd like me to expound upon? Were you in fact not in the control room to the east, were you? Wait, you were in fact not in the control room to the east, were you? You were looking into the lounge from the south, is that not right? What are you doing? He said that he was in the control room. So what are you... Are you making him change his story to fit your need? What are you getting at? Use your own brain. Your head must have some other use than housing that bird's nest. Bird's nest? Why does everyone pick on my hair? Director Cosmos and the detective witnessed the scene from the southern door. The killer fired at them there, and that is why the bullet was found in the south. Ah, that makes some sense, actually. Also, the witness being at the southern door is rather favorable for the prosecution. Yeah, but you can't just tell him that's where he was because it suits you. Huh? I've got a bad feeling about this. How about it, Director? If you don't tell the truth this time... Oh, he's broken it. You will become but rust upon my sword. I relish the chance to cut down a great man. All right, I'll tell the truth. Just put your sword away. You are correct. I, the great Jerichords, was looking into the room from the southern door. That's not how court works! I mean, this entire game is not how court works. But this is ridiculous. That's the complete opposite of all the testimony he's given so far. And now you have lost your possibility that the third person was in the room. I have? How? The director and the detective were near the southern door. So where could he have escaped to? Meaning the killer couldn't have escaped through here. This is literally cheating. The western door required print recognition. The corridor beyond was filled with smoke. The only escape route left was the eastern control room door. And the only way to get through there was with Director Cosmos' fingerprints. In short, there would be no escape for any third person had there been one. Okay. I mean, you're just fucking cheating. Straight up. Like, this is so blatant too. Why did you tell such an outrageous lie? You were covering for the defendant, isn't that right? I feel a sneeze coming on. Nope, okay. I still feel it. Never mind. It was all for the love of my men. If I said I was in the eastern control room, it would mean that the culprit could have escaped through the southern door. It would have meant that there was a third person. All I wanted to do was protect Starbuck. I said I was in the control room to invent an escape route for the third person. What a convoluted lie. Was he really covering for the defendant? It looks like we've come to a conclusion. That the defense's argument, the possibility of a third person, has crumbled. No! It's over. Yikes. The judge is about to hand down his verdict. Think, Phoenix, think. This is the perfect time to try and turn my thinking around. If a third person had no way of escaping the scene, then what if one of the people at the scene was this third person? Wait, what if the whole premise is all wrong? Director Cosmos said that he and Detective Arm rushed to the scene together. But what if that premise isn't true? After all, Arm isn't here to corroborate that story. What if one of them reached the scene before the other one? And if that person entered the lounge, then they would be the third person. The defendant is the only one who could have killed the victim and shot at the director. There doesn't appear to be any room for argument against these claims. I will now render my verdict.
Objection!
Nuh-uh. Please wait, Your Honor. There is still one possibility. Oh, this had better be good, Mr. Wright. There is one and only one person who could have escaped from the scene. That one person would be the first person who arrived on the scene. Then, upon entering the boarding lounge, the second person to arrive came via the southern door. That's why the first person fled from the room, using an escape room. Oh God, sorry, one sec. Using an escape room that was only accessible to them. I had to sneeze, but like it wasn't coming out, so I had to force it out. Very well, let's hear more about this theory. Who is the one person? Well, it's obvious it's Cosmos, right? Like who the fuck else?
Take that!
But that's Mr. Wright. What are you claiming here? Of all the people who were at the scene, only the witness could have escaped. The director is the only one with the authority to open the control room door, after all. But that means... Exactly. The true identity of the third person is our current witness. Director Yuri Cosmos. Oh, he's spinning. What? Oh, don't act so surprised. Order! Order in the court, I say. Mr. Wright, you will explain yourself in more detail. I assert that Director Cosmos arrived at the scene before the crime and entered the boarding lounge alone. Detective Arm arrived after that and saw a suspicious figure who was actually Director Cosmos standing in the lounge. And that's why she fired those 2 warning shots. It works out because then the bullet would actually hit. No. Yes, because then the bullet would actually hit the window, the holographic window. I've been hit on the starboard side. Captain Wright, it's a direct hit on the enemy ship, sir. A magnificent shot. Warning shots fired from the enemy ship. Prepare to intercept. Cosmos, you have told a lie in this court once again. I've been hit on the port side. The enemy has called in reinforcements. Earth to Cosmos Control Center, requesting permission to ask that you return to reality. But my ship will not go down to anything less than the ultimate weapon of evidence. But I do have evidence. In fact, you can say that your battleship bears its scar. If Director Cosmos is the third person or a Blackwell saw, this third person fired at Detective Arm and Directive Cosmos with their gun. And in return, the detective fired her warning shots. Isn't that how it really went down, Detective Cosmos? It looks like you Oh, yeah. Fired upon us. You, Director Cosmos, must have been the one who fired the 10 caliber gun. So if it ricocheted... No, wait, what? When Detective Arm discovered him in the lounge, it only makes sense that he would have turned and shot at her. Therefore, the evidence on the director's body is of a different kind of relevance than before. Once we compare it against another piece of evidence, the mark that you received from the third party will be all the proof we need to prove that you were the one there in the lounge. Brace for further impact. Oh, he knows he's about to get cooked. You finna get cooked, bro. Let's see. Comparison against this piece of evidence will prove that you were the one in the lounge. Oh, did I get it wrong? Ha 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 ha. Tee hee hee. Ha ha ha. I'm so quirky. Ha ha. Yuck, yuck, yuck. This one?
Take that!
Oh. The 38 caliber bullet found on the floor at the scene didn't hit the oxygen tank. It hit Director Cosmos' medal. If we have that ricochet mark on the medal analyzed, I'm sure the caliber will match up. I can actually see it too. And if that mark proves to be from a 38 caliber bullet, it will prove that you were the third person we've been looking for. The bridge is destroyed, losing altitude, all hands abandon ship. If that's true, then what about the bullet that hit the oxygen tank? It was the 10 caliber bullet. In other words, it was the bullet fired by Jerichords. Isn't that right, Director? You've got it all wrong. What? The engines have started again? It's a miracle. I'm not going down yet. Oh? Witness, stop this at once and confess the truth. If you don't want the history books to say that a great man was a great liar, then accept your fate and tell the truth. Bro's discombobulated. But the cosmos revolves around me. Oh man. Someone to get me off this thing. Jesus Christ. Clown shoes. Clown shoes activities in this court. Order in the court. Will someone please stop the witness from spinning? Phew, thank goodness we were able to stop him from spinning off the face of the earth. While he was twirling, I took the liberty of running an analysis on the mark of the medal. It was made by a 38 caliber bullet, matching it with the size of Detective Arm's firearm. Are you ready to confess the truth, witness? No, you've got it all wrong. This is just a misunderstanding. Is he going to start piling on more lies? It looks like it. But no matter how many lies he tells, I'll just expose them one by one. I'll make that big liar tell the truth. Oh, already? Guess I'm taking a break. Okay.